Hey guys, Perry here, today with an early dive into the new Cosmic Exploration Zone, Phaenna. Today's video will cover the new Botanist and Miner relics in an overview of what you can expect out of the new missions and my recommendations for grinding this pair out as effectively as possible. As usual, this is very early in the content and there are still several missions we don't have unlocked yet, so it's likely this won't be the final recommendation once the data farms have the full set available. While I fully expect some changes to the data farming meta in the future, the data I provide here should help you get through these much sooner than later. Let's dive in. The relics here work the same way as the last zone, with missions providing different data types that you need to meet certain thresholds to move into the next step. For Botanist and Miner, unlike the last zone, there aren't many major standout missions that rise above the rest, so we have a couple of options to our approach here. So, what's different in Phaenna? In addition to datasets 1 through 4 we had in Sinus Ardorum, this zone adds a fifth type we will need to consider as well. Additionally, more so than the previous zone, the missions in this zone are loosely organized in clusters, with several missions appearing using identical node locations in each spot. This is convenient for us because in a recent update, Square Enix changed our mission cycling method so that instead of the entire mission selection changing out, only the mission you abandon changes. This can make finding specific missions difficult, so having multiple options is helpful, and in fact, our strategy will take advantage of this. Here's a map with the clusters that I found to be the best through my testing. There's 2 clusters of B-rank missions, one for each class, both in the northwest area, and then a cluster of A-rank missions south of the main base that includes both classes in one location. This is really 2 clusters, one for each class, but they happen to take up the same spot. By doing the missions in clusters like this, we avoid any excess travel time and keep mission uptime by focusing on missions that are always available. For the missions that aren't always up, such as the time-restricted missions and the weather missions, I did test these to see if they were worth doing, and they are if you're looking for the extra rewards like the tokens or the cosmic class score. But in terms of pure relic data collection, the missions I have here will be better generally speaking. So, which mission cluster do we want to pick? For most people, the A-rank mission cluster will be the best. This will cover all 5 data types needed for the new relics, and includes the best mission for dataset 5 in particular. However, if you find yourself ahead on dataset 5 and only need 1 through 4, the B-rank mission clusters will be the fastest. For these 4 data types, these missions are a decently large efficiency increase, which is why I've included them here. So, you'll want to choose the mission set that best fits your needs. Now, for the rest of the video, I'll do a very brief strategy overview for each mission and how I approach them to get them done the quickest. Before we get started on this, as a reminder, I'll be demonstrating these using the current Teamcraft high tier meld set. If you have lower tier melds, you may miss some of the breakpoints and need an extra node or 2 for some missions. However, the overall strategy should work regardless. I'll also include a link to the high tier meld set in the video description. We'll start with the A ranks. I am going to demonstrate these missions on Miner, however the Botanist missions are identical, just under different names. Keep in mind the skill name differences between the 2 classes. First up is Alloy Procurement for Miner, or Glass Ingot Materials for Botanist. The mission is scoring the number of Gather's Boon procs we get, so our strategy is to simply use Mountaineer's Gift 1 and 2 on each node and swing away. Since this is pretty low on GP requirements, I also use Solid Reason to help reduce the number of nodes I need to visit. Make sure to wait for a node with a 100% boon chance before you use it though. Second is Copper Vitrilith selection on Miner and Rare Florist selection on Botanist. This is probably the most variable of the missions, as there's some RNG on Meticulous procs. I open with Scrutiny and Collector's Stellar Standard into Meticulous Prospector on the first node. I didn't get an Intuition proc here, so I used Scrutiny to Scour to hit the max collectability and finish the node with as many solid reasons as I can. If you get the Intuition proc there, you can replace the Scour with another Meticulous Prospector. Pop a Cordial before going to the next node, and then use the second Collector's Stellar Standard and another Scrutiny, and then Meticulous Prospector. Then 2 more Meticulous Prospectors to get the max collectability. This should leave you with 1 solid reason use if you have more than 1000 GP, and usually is enough to finish the mission with gold. However, in the case that it isn't, due to bad luck or whatever else, I'd consider just aiming for silver, or worst case you can always wait for GP to regen and add another node. This shouldn't happen too frequently though. Third for our A ranks is Energy Panel Materials on Miner and Optical Fiber Materials for Botanist. The strategy here is very simple. Spend all of your GP on Bountiful Yield 2 and swing away. Just make sure you're obtaining the correct quantities of each material that it requires. Finally, for the last A rank, we have Glass Polishing Research. This has the same name for both classes. Similar to the previous mission, we will simply spend all of our GP on Bountiful Yield 2 and swing away. One important note is to use your high cordial early between nodes though, otherwise you may end up running out of GP mid-node before you've gotten the gold rating. It's also notable that the location for this mission for Miner is slightly offset from the others. Make sure to start nearby the nodes. These missions all occupy roughly the same location otherwise though. To farm data effectively, simply select any one of these missions and employ the strategies here to complete them rapidly. If you have multiple options, prioritize the ones you need based on how much data you have. Now, onto the B ranks. Featuring Astravasant, who's been a fantastic help to me collecting data in this zone. Big thank you to her for all her hard work. First up is Cosmoliner Conduction Materials, which is the same name for both classes. This one is very similar to Alloy Procurement, only counting Gatherer's Boon procs. Again, simply use both Mountaineer's gifts and swing away until you receive gold. You can again reduce the number of nodes you need to visit here by using Solid Reason as well. Next is Fine Grade Processing Materials, which also has the same name across both classes. This one is similar to the A rank collectible one as well, though it doesn't give Collector Stellar Standards in action and the nodes have less bonuses, so I simply follow the Teamcraft 1000 GP rotation on the first node, seen here. Most of the time, you should be able to clear this mission on the first node. But if your luck is truly terrible, or you're using a lower tier gear set, for the second node, I use a Cordial and Scrutiny with Meticulous Prospector, followed by 2 more Meticulous Prospectors and Solid Reason to hopefully finish the mission. If you don't have 1000 GP, I'll include a link in the video description for the collectibles guide, which I would follow for this one. If not, then you can accept silver or wait for GP regen on a new node. Again though, that should be relatively rare. Third is Polarized Lens Materials, which is again the same name for both classes. This one is the fastest of the bunch, only needing 24 items collected. On the first node, use King's Yield 2 and then spam Bountiful Yield 2. This should complete the mission in a single node. And finally, we have Iridescent Vitrilith Collection and Microscopic Flora for Miner and Botanist respectively. These missions score successful chains, so we will be spending all of our GP on Solid Reason and praying for Eureka moments on the very first node. Outside of that, just swing away and this mission will complete pretty quickly. And that about wraps it up for the missions. To go alongside this info, I've created a cheat sheet shown here that you can find in a link in the video description. This should help serve as a reminder of which missions you're looking for. As usual, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll see if I can help. The next video should cover the same material for crafters, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.